Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today, now that I've had rest, I want to talk about day number 40 of switching from NVIDIA over to AMD. So today's video is going to be a little bit more like interesting and like fact-finding when it comes to ray tracing. Overall performance, being able to play this at 4K, being able to play it at 1440p, being able to play it with FSR or XESS versus without XESS or FSR2. Now I did a pretty good amount of testing this weekend with a number of games that I already have, and I'm coming to this conclusion that I don't necessarily always need to use like an upscaler to use that. I put out a video with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, running that on my 4K OLED, running that at 4K, using the upscaler, FSR quality, and running that with ray tracing levels set to high and everything like that. I feel like there's a disconnect when it comes to AMD and their graphics cards. And I mean, we all suffer from this. It's one of those things where like you wanna try AMD, you wanna save a little bit of money, but you always come back to like this. NVIDIA's the best. I might as well just get NVIDIA. I don't want to have to take the chances, because there are things that you're gonna leave on the table if you go AMD. Like you are. I would say the performance of ray tracing is equal to and surpasses the 30 series in some ways, and that's kind of to be expected if you really think about this. I mean, like, path tracing is a whole nother animal. Even with you have to utilize DLSS on the 30 series cards to even use that. So without DLSS or path tracing, being able to use, I want to do a little bit more testing with different situations on Cyberpunk 2077 when it comes to the path tracing and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm kind of at a point now where I feel like I can guarantee that my ray tracing performance is better than the 3080 that I had. Easily. I can play games with ray tracing enabled without using any upscalers at the same frame rates I was getting with that 3080 without using any upscalers. And if I turn the upscalers on, then I get even a higher frame rate. So when we're talking frame rate on 4K with the 7900 XT, we're usually well above 60 frames per second. I would say anywhere from about 75 to 85, maybe 90 sometimes, depending on the game. Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered. Some of these games, some of these more AAA type games that have different types of... And so with the Spider-Man games, I was running at a very high ray tracing, whereas Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I did need to dial it back. I didn't necessarily need to dial it back to get a 60 FPS, but I wanted to get above 60 FPS and get like a fluid playing game on 4K. There are some instances where I do feel that out of the gate, here's the thing, like out of the gate, and this is kind of AMD's fault too. Not necessarily just the NVIDIA bros. The NVIDIA bros, man, like, I get it. NVIDIA came to the scene with ray tracing first. And if you look back at the 20 series, I mean, nobody was hyping it up. Nobody was talking about it. Nobody cared about it on the 20 series because it was absolutely unfreaking usable. And that's pretty much what the last generation AMD cards were. And then the second generation comes along, and to tell you the truth, man, the only way to use ray tracing most of the time on my 3080, I had to enable DLSS. Like, I had to enable that. Now, if you look at the product stacked where the 7900 XT lands, it is definitely in a higher class than what the 3080 was. Like, for easily a more performant card in terms of just like gen on gen. Having that extra push that could definitely get you across the line. And that's kind of what I was looking for in a graphics card. Like, I wanted to be able to, if I wanted to look at ray tracing, I could. didn't necessarily, I wasn't sure what to expect because I never had AMD, and if the consensus out there is that AMD isn't that great. So it did kind of put a little bit of it did put a little bit of doubt in my mind as to what this graphics card was going to be capable of actually doing. But now that I've had some time and I played around with it this weekend and I was looking at it and playing multiple different games, utilizing ray tracing, getting through Atlas Fallen, just and taking naps in between and all of that stuff because I'm old and I was pretty worn out. But I feel like I had a decent enough experience that I was like, okay, yeah, I do believe that this card will be able to provide a ray tracing experience. But now, now I really want to talk about like FSR, not so much XESS. XESS is good; it does work, and you can utilize that on your AMD card. But I want to break down FSR too. You see a lot of negativity out there about FSR and it not holding up or not being good or not being like comparable to DLSS, and so you automatically think that like it's way worse than DLSS, right? I mean think about this. Like you already have in your mind, it's almost like we're being programmed to think that AMD's FSR solution is completely terrible and DLSS is just the best. Well, I tried FSR on multiple games, quality, balanced, and performance. Performance mode, yeah, it starts to fall apart. I'm not even gonna lie, it starts to get a little fuzzy, whatever. There's no saving that. Balanced mode definitely does a little better, and then quality mode is absolutely incredible. I mean, balanced mode, I could play these games on balanced mode and be like, okay, that's not too bad. And see, in my mind, in balance mode, the little bit further away stuff is where it starts to kind of fall apart. But as long as you're right there in your vision, anything like really close to the camera, that kind of stuff, usually looks really good. But quality mode, you put that on there and you do get better image quality. Like it is very hard for me to tell the difference between native 4K and FSR, especially in motion. Like in motion, like it's not as bad as what people would say it is. Now, if you're coming from console and you're looking at like the consoles, like yeah, FSR doesn't hold up. They're using like performance mode on consoles, and that is pretty much upscaling from sub 1080p up to like 1440p, so it looks fuzzy on a 4K TV. So of course it's not going to look good. And people can and I feel like the experts can point to that and be like, see, FSR is trash. And for the most part, like these upscalers, I mean, first of all, you already know how I feel about upscalers. If you've been here for a while, you know that I don't feel like we should have to use these with our current freaking GPUs costing $1,000 freaking dollars. Like they're good, they're the cherry on top, whatever, awesome. But I don't think we should have to. I really don't think we should have to be utilizing these for this generation's console games, and that's fine. But am I against using them? No, not at all. Not a freaking all, man. I'm actually to the point right now where I'm about to call up my buddies over at PlayStation and tell them, bring back the checkerboards in full force so we can get checkerboard 4K. Because you know what? Fuzz K looks better than no K. It really does. It definitely looks better. And I would actually appreciate PlayStation bringing back Fuzz K so that everybody can enjoy a better image quality on their 4K OLEDs, man. Because now that I got this 4K OLED, this LG C2, I sit here and I'm thinking, like I've been playing more of these games on the 4K OLED than I have my 1440p. Well, that's not exactly true. I did finish Atlas Fallen on the 1440p monitor. As you can see, like right here, this is my view distance so that I can play, when I'm playing my open world games, stuff like that. When I'm sim racing, I jump in the sim rig and I use the OLED. The reason why I was like, yeah, perfectly okay with the 4K OLED for my sim racing games, because all of those games are hitting 4K over 120 frames a second. So I'm not having an issue with that. Like I'm hitting my refresh rate. I'm hitting my high quality visuals. So that there is preferable to me to play at 4K and be able to get like all my visuals and stuff. That looks great. That looks incredible. So that's fine. But when I'm playing a game like Assassin's Creed or Atlas Fallen or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, actually, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart deserves a place on a 4K TV. That game is absolutely beautiful with all of the ray tracing, with all of the shadow effects and everything else. It is absolutely incredible. And thankfully, I get to experience that with the 7900 XT because I really did believe that going AMD, I was going to be leaving ray tracing and everything behind. And I was prepared for that. I was absolutely prepared to leave ray tracing and DLSS and go to AMD for just rasterized gameplay. I was absolutely willing and prepared to do that. But I'm grateful I don't have to. And I'm getting a better bang for my buck than I thought I was going to get, to be completely honest with you. Now, there are things that obviously are going to cause a problem. AMD, freaking noise canceling software. You guys have heard it. My video's crackling and all of that stuff. Hopefully this one's not crackling now. I did test this all out before I did it, but I turned off noise I turned off noise, the noise thing, and here we are, man. Like, if it's crackling still, then I don't know. I'm at a loss. I don't know what else to do after that, but yeah, that's starting to get to be an annoying thing, man. When I play a video back and I'm hearing that, I've recorded so many videos that I haven't put out, and then there's some that I was just like, man, I'm just going to put them out. Like, I haven't put nothing out. I got to put something out. So hopefully going forward, we won't be hearing the crackling sound anymore. But that's one thing that's starting to get annoying. But then there's another thing, man. And this has to do if you own an LG C2. If you own the LG C2, you do have the ability to switch your TV into 21:9 or 32:9 or something like that, the widescreen and then the extra widescreen. You do have the ability to set that as your TV, and your TV will provide black bars. And then when you send the signal from your PC over to that, it should, it's supposed to give you that and kind of force that for your games and stuff. Well, there is a problem with that. The games that do support widescreen and ultra widescreen, those games work perfectly. They work good. They sync up nicely. You get all your frame rate. Everything is great. Games that don't support it that well, you'll get it'll lock it to 60 frames a second. It'll stretch the screen out, and then it will give you screen tearing, which is absolutely terrible. Somebody in the community bought this card, and gosh, man, they instantly are like, no, that's a deal breaker. They ordered the 4080, put that in, and now everything's running fine for them, and it got them back to where they wanted to be. So there's those issues, some of those things that, are going to pop up when you go into AMD, but you got to look at it like this. I feel like you kind of have to look at it like this. Like, there are things about AMD that would make it impossible for me to want to go back to NVIDIA anytime soon. And then there are things on NVIDIA that I would love to have on my AMD card that might not be there, and I just haven't found them yet. So, but as time goes, the more days I get into this, like, I mean, if I would have got on here and had a game break it like an instant thing that broke the thing for me right then and there, it'd probably be a different story. But seeing as I've got 40 days on this card now, and I'm barely starting to find stuff that I don't use that widescreen thing that often. If I do, I usually select it in the game without, but I mean, now that I know that's a feature on my LG C2, that does kind of, I use that for sim racing, and the ultra wide with sim racing, I was checking that out the other day when I was actually trying that with some sim racing games, and I didn't really care for it too much, just because of the way it was looking. It wasn't really enhancing the experience race wise for me. So I think I could be okay without that. But in the future, I mean, that's something to keep in mind for me. If I ever decide that I really do want like widescreen. Now, here's the thing though. I wonder if with the AMD card, because going to the TV or HDMI, I'm wondering, like, will this AMD card still be okay on like a widescreen monitor? Now that's the big thing, if it's going through a display port to the monitor or whatever, will that still have that same issue? I don't think it would. I mean, this card's got support for HD or DisplayPort 2.0. So I don't feel like that would be a problem. I feel like this card can push things. I feel like the overall longevity of this card is probably a little bit better than what we've got right now. I mean, like, you can literally run, like, what was it, like 4K at 400 frames a second. So if you were like, man, I want to play CSGO or something, boom, you got it. Just buy that really high refresh rate 4K screen and you got it, man. Like the technology is there. You can't do that on the NVIDIA card. There's things that are on this card right now that you can utilize today that you can't utilize with that. If you got a reference card with AMD, you've got a USB-C port in the back of the card. That's some pretty cool stuff, man. So when it comes to AMD, in the future of this channel with AMD, I like AMD. I do. I like AMD. I think that there's definitely a place here for AMD. NVIDIA is always welcome too. I would never not do. I've never put myself in the fanboy thing and be like, yeah, I'm never going to use NVIDIA again. Like, no, I'm not going to do that, man. That's dumb. But I will tell you, man, the NVIDIA bros, they come by all the time and throw their little jabs at AMD and stuff like that. It's like, come on, man. Come on. If you know your card's the best, why do you even care? You know what I mean? Like, to me, that just sounds like, I don't know. It just sounds childish, man. I thought that stuff was regulated to the console wars, man. Like, I really did. So, when it comes to, like I was saying, when it comes to the future of this channel, you know, and like covering AMD, I want to be able to start covering some of this stuff. So I'm going to be covering some of these games with ray tracing, utilizing FSR, utilizing, you know, XESS, stuff like that, to try to see if I can get like a baseline for how this card performs overall. Because I want to give you that information. Like I want you to have that information. Like I don't want you to be like flying blind or not being able to see what you can expect to get. So when I do the benchmarks for this channel, I'm gonna be like playing the game. Like I'm gonna do like a half hour, something like that, and I'm gonna play the game, and I'm gonna get you a real freaking benchmark. I'm gonna set the settings to where I want them, and then I'm going to give you a benchmark play of that, man. And you can see how the frame rate fluctuates, man. Like I have nothing to lose, man. None of these graphics cards are giving me freaking free cards or anything like that. I have nothing to lose, and plus it helps me give you guys good content. So, all right, my friends, I really greatly appreciate you guys supporting this channel. I do. I'm grateful for all the opportunities that you guys have, you know, allowed me to have, for just because of your support. So if you're somebody that's been watching for a while and you haven't hit that subscribe button, I'd ask you to do that. It just helps. It really does help the channel grow. Maybe some more interaction. Maybe share these videos if you like this content and you want people to see it. I've noticed right out that YouTube will 100% just stop pushing my videos. They do. Even the one that blew up, man, like day 10 of this blew up, and they shut that right down after about 15,000 views. It's just weird. Like I know that I'm getting put back in my place pretty often. So if you could share, if you could like, if you could subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate you.